All right, haves and have not fans. This is the video I promised that I would post. It's a compilation of the various videos I submitted to the OWN network for the Final Temptation special that aired last Tuesday. So it's in no particular order. So pretty much it's just every video I submitted talking about my favorite moments, favorite fight, sexiest character, favorite quote, best cliffhanger, plot twist, message to Tyler Perry and the crew. So it was pretty satisfying to see, some of the highlights make it into the final project. So yeah, just sit back, enjoy the submissions. It's just me talking to the screen. And as always, if you can go ahead and show your support by hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out when I post new content on the channel. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And if you would like to donate, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. And with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon. Enjoy. The all-time best fight scene. I feel like it goes without saying that the best fight had to be when Jim decided to get in front of Hannah's face and call her out of her name. This holy sanctified woman took a deep breath. If I remember correctly, she took her earrings off. She made that first slap, which sent Jim from the living room into like the front of the stairs. And then next thing you know, Candace jumped on his back. That was one of the first times where we really saw Candace and Hannah working together for a common goal. And then shortly after, that's when they had their reconciliation for as long as that lasted. But I just feel like that was Jim getting a piece of his humble pie. Now, don't get me wrong, the fight with Benny, where he beat the crap out of Jim, basically when Hannah let Benny loose like a rabid dog off the chain. But I really like the fact that we saw a tag team between Candace and Hannah. I believe at one point, Jim backhanded Candace, which sent her to the door, which made Hannah fight even harder. So I have to give it to the Hannah and Candace versus Jim. That's like the all-time best fight scene in the series. All-time favorite character, David Harrington, no doubt. My favorite character on the show is David Harrington. Peter Parros, the way he does the David voice, I'm a good friend, but I'm a better enemy. Jeffrey, watch out for your mother. Justin, if you lay one hair on my son. Jim, we need to get wide in control right now. Just the voice, it is amazing. And I have to say, what keeps him at the top of my list is his level-headedness. For the most part, he's been a voice of reason. It's almost as if David is as calm as Veronica is fierce. Just like Catherine is the mama bear who will show her claws more often than not, but she's a bit more subdued than Jim Cryer. So it's almost as if David and Catherine go hand in hand, and well, we learn later on they had sex on, Catherine's honeymoon night, but that's another story in itself. My all-time favorite David Harrington moment. That's a tough one, but this is bad, but it would have to be, and I'm quoting David here, when he said, I had to pimp slap that bitch when he backhanded Veronica. I am not condoning domestic violence. All I'm saying is that was a scene that I remember. That was one of those scenes that I had to get out my seat because I'm like, he really did it. Because, I think Veronica was drunk at the time. RK was on the couch and she was all like, oh yeah, you ain't gonna put your hands on me. Bop! And then David knocked Veronica to another network. I mean, Veronica went to Viacom before Tyler Perry did. That's all I'm saying. I had to pimp slap that bitch. So David Harrington, I feel like that moment resonated with me, not because of the domestic violence situation, but because I feel like that was the first time that we really saw the David Harrington who is slow to anger when he reaches the angry part. Sure, he's had his moments where he fought Jim because he thought he had Veronica killed, but I feel like the woman that he's defended for so many seasons slash years in our time, he finally reached a breaking point after everything she's done, from setting the house on fire with him inside of it, setting his cars on fire, you know, having Maggie Day killed. He literally reached the breaking point. But the thing about it wasn't because Veronica did something to him. I do believe at the time he was mad because the secret loft or apartment he had that he had Jeffrey put in, you know, for safety, that got torn up by Justin. He assumed Veronica did it. And then because of the love of his son and the fact he was fed up with her because of that, that's why he backhanded her. So that really shows a lot about his character. So that's my all-time favorite David Harrington moment. I would say my all-time favorite moment was the moment I felt that changed my perspective on the series as a whole, as well as being a commentator, because at the time I was only blogging, you know, before I had my YouTube channel where I taught about the show. And I'll never forget the one blog that blew up. My all-time favorite moment was the cliffhanger ending where you had Mama Rose, a couple of the Malones, Candace was tied up and on the ground. And at the time, the last thing that Jim had said in front of Candace was, "Kill her." And Mama Rose told one of the boys to put a bag over her head, and they fired a gun right by Candace's head, and she fell to the ground, and the Malones split. And we were left wondering, oh my gosh, is Candace dead? Because at the time, I believe Tinka Sumter was working on other projects. I think she was in the biopic movie Get On Up, the James Brown story. And, you know, she was branching out into other, you know, projects. So fans, this is before we knew a lot about, you know, how Tyler Perry recorded things, you know, how he had like the Tyler Perry machine where he would film things in a few weeks, if not a month. And that would allow the actors to go out and do other projects. But that moment changed the game because that blog blew up, and I felt like that was the first blog that kind of put me out there. I remember some of the cast members shared it, and I was like, oh wow, this is great. You know, fans really flocked to my blog. But that moment where Mama Rose had one of her boys shoot Candace and we were all left wondering, is Candace dead? All-time favorite moment. I think the most appropriate cheer for the Haves and the Have-Nots finale is to do the catchphrase that I say at the beginning of all my Haves and Have-Nots YouTube videos. All right, Haves and Have-Not fans, let's gear up for the final season coming to OWN on June 1st. 8 episodes left. So many stories to tie up. So many characters we're wondering the fates of. We're going to have to wait to see what happens. It's been such a fun ride from start to finish. So let's get up. Let's get ready. June 1st, hashtag HAHN. Temptation Tuesdays, we got one final round. Let's do it, guys. Haves and Have-Not fans, let's come together. The all-time best love scene is one that was almost a moment of rage, passion, and regret. It was when David finally gave Maggie Day what she wanted, a little piece of chocolate. I remember at the time, you know, Veronica was still in jail. I think this was early season 3 or 4. It was when Jennifer Salison, during the finale of one season, when the chickens come home, arrested the Criers and the Harringtons. Maggie got, I believe, David out of jail first, and I think Catherine was soon to follow. But at this particular time, Jim and Veronica, I know for a fact, were still in jail. And, you know, Veronica was pretty much convinced, there was no convincing her otherwise, that Maggie wasn't after her man. And well, she was right. However, she was wrong about the fact that David and Maggie had had sex because they had walked out of his hotel room moments after Veronica showed up, or moments before Veronica showed up to invite him to brunch. And then, of course, we had Jeffrey and Landon right across the hall. But she assumed the worst when actually David had turned Maggie down. So it's one of those situations where you kind of feel for David, where you don't, it's almost like watching The Preacher's Wife, where you have Denzel trying to woo Whitney Houston's character, but at the same time, it's like, wait, am I cheering for an angel to get the wife of a preacher to cheat on him. But basically, in the David and Maggie case, it was David just kind of fed up with the fact that fine, if this woman keeps saying that I'm having sex with Maggie, I might as well have sex with Maggie. She's not going to believe me otherwise. Because I think that Jim had said to David that he was going to have Veronica killed. So David knew that Veronica in jail would be the safest thing for her, but she wouldn't believe him. So he was fed up because Maggie had printed in the paper that Veronica and Jim had been conspiring together for a while. And as a result, David was pretty much a victim in all this. And David was able to get out of jail. So David was fed up with Maggie over this. So after being chewed out by Veronica one too many times, he decided to go back to the hotel room where Maggie had the adjacent door to his. And I'll never forget when he finally walked through the door and Maggie apologized. Oh my God, David, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And David was like, take your clothes off. What? Take your clothes off. And then they did it. Favorite love making scene. Maggie and David Harrington. Well, I plan on watching the finale just like I watched the premiere. Sitting in the living room with my mom. She's on one side of the living room watching. I'm on the other with my laptop ready to go and tweet. And we're just going to ride this ship until it reaches the shore because, well, it's just poetic justice, isn't it? Why not end it the way we started it? I know it's going to be a lot of yelling in the living room as certain things happen to certain characters, but yeah, I mean, that's the only way to go out. Watching it with my mom in the living room. We might, I don't know, we might order out, fix something special, but I know it is going to be a night to remember. I've been watching the haves and the have-nots since day one, and I love the show because it really showed that Tyler Perry could step out of the realm of comedy and other sitcoms that he did in the past, such as House of Pain, or no, we're going to do this again. No, we can cut it. I've been watching the haves and the have-nots since day one. And I really love the show because it showed a different side of Tyler Perry's writing abilities, being able to create a, well, nighttime soap opera. It was something outside of what he's done before with Meet the Browns or House of Pain. And it really told an interesting story that had people coming in every single Tuesday night or Temptation Tuesday to see what kind of antics, you know, Veronica, the Cryer family, or even Candace would pull on each other. So I really do feel like the love that I have for this show came from the fact that it allowed viewers to see Tyler Perry in an entirely new light. To the cast and crew, thank you so much. To the cast for bringing these characters to life. I mean, the ones that we love to hate and the characters who we hate to love. The characters who we've been quoting since 2013, even now in 2021. Being able to call some of you friends is a blessing in itself. From the autographs to the, direct messages, the retweets, the support on what I do on the channel, the blog back in the day, it really means a lot to think that these individuals who I've watched since 2013 and to me are humongous stars in their own right. Thank you for allowing me to have such an incredible time watching you all on screen, getting to know you off screen, as well as just seeing your talent, not just on the haves and the have-nots, but doing research to look at some of your past and, present projects. So also to the crew, the people behind the scenes, behind the camera, as the years went on and I was given more, well, fans in general were given more of a glimpse of the behind the curtain of Tyler Perry Studios, just the amazing work you do. I say this every time there is a new season premiere, and I say this like, wow, I mean, I don't know what Tyler and the crew did, but it's almost as if they took the lighting and the cinematic approach to another level. Thank you for the attention to detail, from the lighting, the background music, and of course the song everybody wants me to sing during every live stream for some reason. I got moves, moves, moves. I got moves, moves, moves. I don't know who sung that song, but phenomenal. It's great. It's catchy. I think Randall was dancing to that on If Loving You Is Wrong as well. But I do know on the haves and the have-nots, that was from the episode, the season 3 premiere, when Benny it was the coming home party for Benny after coming home from having the coma. But I can't thank you enough for making such an amazing show. To Tyler Perry, what can I say? You shocked me. The first episode, you shocked me. You pretty much showed the world that you were more than just Medea, that you were more than just a comedy writer from shows like Meet the Browns or House of Pain. You took it to another level with the haves and the have-nots. Congratulations on your success on that particular program, of course, as well as your projects currently on Viacom, not to mention all the future projects you have coming up that we don't even know about. I just have to say, you made a show that changed my life in so many ways, not just from the YouTube channel, but being able to communicate with so many amazing people, cast members, fans, and just really bringing my mom and I together even more than before by having a program we both have been addicted to since the first episode. The Haves and the Have-Nots review channel would not be anything without Tinka Sumner, because of the fact that way back in the day, there was a tweet I sent out and it said, if Jim really loved Candace. And I remember she responded, what do you think, in a sarcastic fashion? And that was the fuel that really got me thinking, okay, Twitter isn't enough. 140 characters, I got to do more. That's when I did the blog, which eventually became the YouTube channel, which eventually became, well, my full-time job. So I have to say, Tinka Sumner, special thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, Tyler Perry, if I never meet you in person, if you never see any of my videos or read any of my tweets, I hope you see this message. Thank you for creating such an amazing show. I can't wait to see what else you have in the future. And if nothing else, please put the show on DVD, maybe make a haves and have-not movie, sequel series, prequel movie, spin-off series. I'd love to help with that. My message to the other fans of the show, thank you. If you aren't familiar with me, then I am the face behind the YouTube channel, The Haves and the Have-Nots Review. Over 170,000 subscribers, over 34 million views. And to think it all started from a small blog on WordPress, where I would write reviews and theories every single week about the show, because Twitter's 140 characters wasn't enough to, express all of my thoughts on the series. I have to say that the show started in 2013, right before I was about to finish college in the next couple of semesters. Then I worked in a call center for 3 years, and I started the YouTube back in 2016. And it got to the point where I could take the risk, quit my job, and do YouTube full time. So the fans, and I thank them a lot in my videos, but for this particular message, you all have changed my life as much as the haves and the have-nots. Without the camaraderie, we would not be able to have the huge community of fans we do now. I mean, that was the whole point of starting the YouTube channel and the blog. It was the idea, as Nick Fury, there was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people who were diehard fans of the haves and the have-nots, so we can speak on it week to week, not just on Tuesdays. And it's just such an amazing time that I've had connecting with so many people. Sure, we've connected over other shows now, the Oval, Sisters, and other programs, but the haves and the have-nots was that foundation that brought us all together. So the fans, thank you so much. Let's go through these 8 episodes together. It's going to be a wild ride. I have no doubt about that. June 1st cannot get here soon enough. Thank you for the support. Even when you agree or disagree with my theories and agree with my theories, I'd have to say the lion tattoo, y'all lit me up for a solid year about that, because I was saying that Derek was the father, and I was right. But just thank you. Just thank you all to the fans. You all have helped me become a better commentator, a better viewer, and I made some friends along the way. So here we go to the final season. I'd say the most memorable line of the entire series, number 9. Catherine Cryer was the one who coined that phrase. and that amazing speech she did when Candace revealed the affair between her and Jim back in season 1 was just an epic moment in the series. And this was during the early days. I remember at the time, Catherine was still battling with breast cancer, and Candace had come over to the estate to reveal the affair because she had assumed that Jim was the reason her brother was locked up in jail when it was really David who set a trap for Candace by planting drugs in the car. But Benny was the one driving and he got arrested. So in her mind, Jim was the one who caused it. So she was pretty much going to burn his little playhouse down. So as soon as Candace revealed the truth, Catherine did nothing more but chuckle. I believe, she put down the book she was reading. She got out of bed. Mind you, at the time, we knew as an audience that she was battling breast cancer, but she so gracefully, put one foot down, then the other, put on her slippers, and just gave one of the best monologues in the entire series, ripping apart Candace, saying, "Little girl, what? You think you telling me this is going to expose anything? Like you'll get any kind of uh, blackmail, extortion money? No, he's had plenty of girls like you who he's chewed up and spit out. Get out of my house before I." She just went in. So from that point on, she was referred to as number 9 by Catherine Cryer. So Catherine is the MVP. This was just one of her many scene stealing moments where she's had so many quotable lines of dialogue where she could just say one little line and that would just rip apart somebody who was confident that they had the upper hand on her. Veronica Harrington, she is like the queen of zingers and one-liners, but I'd say that the true monarch is Catherine Cryer. I would say the most shocking twist of the series was when Tyler Perry had the camera move to show us the burnt remains of Erica after the car explosion. I don't think anybody at that point in the show, we had been watching since 2013, but we had never seen anything like this. I mean, Veronica she warned Erica about Hurricane Veronica, and it would be a shame if anything happened to your pretty face. And Veronica lived up to her, not threat, but promise. She took the beautiful Erica and turned her into something from Tales of the Crypt. So I would say that was one of the most shocking cliffhanger moments, the biggest twist I had ever seen in the haves and the have-nots. What did I think? Oh, my thoughts the very first time that I thought the show, my thoughts during my first experience watching the haves and the have-nots was a odd one to say the least. Like, my mother and I, we both got into the story very early on, but at the time, it was 2013. It was just the fact that I was in my early 20s, and one of the first scenes was Candace Young opening her jacket, revealing, some lingerie for Jim. And I'm thinking, wow, is this awkward that I'm watching this and my mom's on the other, couch? But I'll say that the story itself during that first episode is what really got us both sucked into the atmosphere of the haves and the have-nots. But, truth be told, a confession here, the main reason I really started watching the show religiously was the moment when Amanda Cryer stepped on screen and my heart just almost wanted to burst out of my chest. My heart almost burst out of my chest as quickly as Wyatt got undressed in the kitchen and Jim chewed him out for it. So yeah, Amanda was the reason that I became an addict of the haves and the have-nots until her unfortunate demise. But we all got to move on at some point, right? My name is Jeremy Carden, JeremyCarden from Lynchburg, Virginia. And I've been watching the haves and the have-nots since episode 1, way back in 2013.
Next Tuesday.
Will you please take the after pill?
So you've done this before.
Tyler Perry's taking you to the edge.
Who is helping you and where is he?
For the Oval mid-season finale.
I wanted to help you to know the truth. It's Max and Bobby. I have satellite images looking everywhere.
And hold on.
I'm ready to tell you.
Because nothing will ever be the same. Tyler Perry.
All right, Oval fans, you just saw the preview for what apparently is supposed to be the true mid-season finale. Season 2, Episode 13, entitled Every Weekend. So go ahead and hit the thumbs up button on the video to show you like it. Hit that subscribe button. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And finally, hit the bell icon to select all. That way you don't miss out when I post new content to the channel. So yeah, this is going to encompass both the trailer you just saw as well as the end credit trailer that we saw during the episode last night. So Ellie has a moment where she's confronting Hunter's like, look, you have no idea what it's like to be someone that looks like me and the things I have to deal with. No, it doesn't really matter because you tried to steal his underwear and DNA, so you really have no stake in this, Ellie. Get the hell out of here. So we also have, picking up where you left off, Bobby has his gun pointed right at Donald's head. It's like, don't test me. Oh, you ain't going to do anything, son. I'm the chief of staff. So I wonder how that scene's going to play out. Guys, they're cutting grass outside, so if you hear background noise, my bad. So Nancy is apparently ready to tell Richard who the father of Picky is. But the thing about it is, whatever she says apparently is so messed up that it looks like Richard is balling up his fist, and then we have Nancy go, Richard! So I don't know what that's all about, but think about it this way. Oh, hang on a second. They're cutting grass, Okay, so the title Every Weekend, I wonder, does that have to do with, oh, the person who was Picky's father, he hooked up with me every weekend during that particular month maybe they hooked up every weekend while Richard was gone. I don't know. But whatever the case is, something doesn't seem too right. We also have a brief blink and you miss it scene. They don't really spend much time on this at all, but Barry is in that parking lot again, meeting up with Ruth in the van. Obviously, it has to do with the money. And there's a group of Rockaducci members that come out of the van. And then there's another scene where it looks like Ruth is just standing there while, they're beating the shit out of Barry in the parking lot. I'm like, well, damn. So we go over to the Sam talking with Victoria, getting dressed after, they did what they did. And it's like, hey, promise me you take a morning after pill. So this isn't the first time you did this, huh? And you're supposed to be faithful to your wife. Look, man, I'm not playing this game. It's a little too, I was able to give Sam a benefit of the doubt before, but at this point it's like, Sam, come on, man. You know what you did. You know what you did. Because, with her going down on him, that was one thing. I'm not saying one is, hey, cheating is cheating, but at the same time, you initiated it. Yeah, she was feeling up on you. She was the one that opened her dress, but you went to her. Well, then again, when your wife is threatening you with a knife that same morning, it was all out there for you. But at the same time, bro, you knew what you were doing. Honestly, there are more people rooting for Victoria and Sam than Sam and Priscilla. I ain't gonna lie. I can kind of see where they're coming from with that. So, could this be, I feel like, are they hinting at Sam being the father? But based on the preview, I don't think that's the case. I honestly don't think that's the case at all. So after that, I think we see, it looks like Jason's walking into the room, so he must be walking in right after Sam leaves because this little creep knows what's going on. He's making a phone call. Hey, I was just trying to help you. Is he calling Priscilla? Because we see Priscilla on the phone. Remember, this could be effective misdirection. He could be calling Alan. I don't know. Because speaking of Alan, it looks like there's another scene where Jason's in Alan's office, and Jason, it looks like it's like he's making a motion with his hands, like he's like using an axe, kind of like, hey, all I gotta do is on my parents. And Alan's like, get the hell out of here. Well, we don't know. It was like literally a blink and you miss a moment. But whatever the case with Priscilla, we have Sam in one scene, looks like he's throwing something, and then we got Priscilla screaming, no! This preview's full of a lot of people screaming because we also got Kyle threatening Diane with some kind of power tool on the elevator if she doesn't tell him who she's working with, which we do know she does cave in and say who she's working with because we have Kyle walking into Donald's office saying, hey, it's Max and Bobby. That's who Diane's working with. We got satellite images looking everywhere. So I don't know if he mutilates her, like cuts off her foot or her leg or something, but maybe he stops before, he does anything because Diane knows he ain't playing. So either way, Kyle figures out it's Max and Bobby, which goes back to Max's rational or his rational thinking in last night's episode. I wouldn't trust these women because what? We got Donald walking in on Bobby and Lily, and then we got Kyle pretty much, getting information out of Diane. Max should have left. So that's all we have for this particular episode trailer. Looks pretty crazy next week. We'll see how things are. Hopefully this episode is better than last night's, but that's just my opinion. And like I say, as at the beginning of the video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. All right, Oval fans. I did not watch the episode live last night. I was playing with my Switch. But in any case, while on the outside, that might not seem like the best excuse, especially because it's like, Jeremy, this is the one and only show you have to review. And it ends next week. And then you're going to have an entire week off before the final week of May when we get a bunch of shows coming back at once. Touche. But I'm kind of glad I didn't watch this episode live, because if I was live tweeting, I would have just been ranting the entire time. This episode, and God, if you disagree, by all means, feel free to disagree in the comments section. But in my humble opinion, this episode was not good because it had a couple moments. It had a few moments here and there, but overall, you know how much of a stickler I am for characters who act out of character. I don't think it was as bad as the Sister Season 2 finale, but this episode just reeked of characters who were just dumbasses. And look, just to give you, that's why I'm doing this cold opening, because it's like, if you don't want a ranty Jeremy, you probably want to click off the video. But this episode did exactly what I was afraid it would do. Prove that last week should have been the cutoff for the mid-season, because this episode did nothing positive for the story. It just made people look dumb. I got this feeling as soon as we got the first scene between Donald and Lily. I'm looking at Lily like, whoa, what you doing? You supposed to be undercover or mole? Like, well, what? Okay, so before going forward in this video, because like I said, I got a lot to get off my chest. Feel free to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out when I post new content to the channel. Hit subscribe and follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And as always, if you would like to donate on PayPal or Cash App, it's very much appreciated. Not required, but I do appreciate it. So the first scene, I'm sorry. 3 out of 10. That was my score for the episode. I looked through my notes. I have about almost 3 pages of notes, but at the same time, what really just diminished the points for this episode was how dumb everybody was acting. So like I said, if you disagree, feel free to let me know. But I'd also appreciate it if you at least went through the entire video to understand why I feel the way I felt. That way, you can understand, that's why you gave it a low score. Maybe I would have given it a 5 out of 10, but I see why Jeremy scored it the way he did. All right. So it turns out, according to Lily, there's going to be a news special breaking down the woman who was murdered, Denise, and the 2 Secret Service agents who died as a result of it. And for some reason, I didn't have a problem with Lily saying that, because that's like public knowledge. That's like, public news. It's kind of the same thing I do on the channel, where sometimes I get information from behind the scenes that I don't want to put out there on the channel because it's not public knowledge. But if it's like a Deadline article, or, some other media outlet has covered, this cast member is leaving the show, or this cast member is joining the show, or this or that, then I don't mind sharing it. So Lily talking to Donald about that special, I don't have a problem with, because it's like, I started doing a special. Okay. But then she goes back to like back half of season 1 Lily, where she's trying to grill Donald. So who did the president kill? What the hell are you asking him that for? You're supposed to be getting information on the sly. You're just going up in his face. Who killed her, Donald? What happened, Donald? Look, if you want me to stick around, I need to know what's going on. And then he's basically said, like, look, As long as you're on my side, you have nothing to worry about. So I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck is Lily thinking? Okay, so then she calls Bobby. He's pissed off because of the fact, damn it, Lily, you haven't been checking in. Even though I'm annoyed by this, he is in character. I'll give him that. So she says, hey, I asked about the woman that the president killed. And Bobby's like, what the hell are you doing? Basically, Bobby was me. What are you doing, Lily? Damn, you're supposed to be patient and careful. Well, I miss you. I want to see you. Come here now. But didn't Lily tell Bobby an episode or two ago that, hey, as hard as this is for the both of us, you need to get back to your wife. I need to get back to my husband. We just need to ride things out to get through this alive. So why all of a sudden do you want him to come back? Oh, Lord, this is going to be one of those kind of reviews. Okay. How are you going to get? Oh, I'll be there. How are you going to get there? The security there is crap. Are you sure about that? I'm Bobby, baby. Okay, all right. So Max overhears this, and there were Barry. There were a couple. Barry. There were a couple of characters in the episode who had common sense. Max. I mean, say what you want about him being paranoid, but Max is like, "Are you sure about doing that? Are you sure that's smart?" And he's rightfully concerned. Like, well, last night you still on those raccoon people? Those people are harmless. Whew, look. Bobby might know about the Rakadushi, who they are, but I don't think he knows what they're about. Because if he's been watching Ruthless, harmless is not the word I'd use to describe them. So basically from there, Max is like, look, I'm worried about it. We're just sitting ducks out here. And Bob's like, look, man, we can see anything coming from a mile away. We can see, over like, 3 ridges. We're off the map. Don't worry about it. We're okay. And, Max is like, well, look, you sure about Lily and Diane? Yeah, what about them? Well, you might be confident in putting your life in the hands of those women, but not me. And at first I'm like, wait, did he just say women as in patronizing women, being sexist? But no, he's like, what do you know about them? And he's right. I mean, literally, would you be willing to gamble your life in the hands of, like, Diane, who's, egotistical, Lily, who's just in way over her head, and, of course, Bobby, who was kind of on the same wavelength of Max as being, calm, cool, and collected, but his feelings for Lily have compromised his own composure. So I agree with Max wholeheartedly. Look, and he's even like, hey, I got to get out of here. It's like, look, I'm just going to go somewhere else. I can't just sit around like a, sitting duck. And then Bobby's like, okay, all right, you say we need weapons? Because it's like, yeah, okay, we don't have weapons here. Come with me. So he goes in, tells him to close the door. It's almost like Black Ops. Hey, help me. He lifts up the rug and then opens a compartment, which has like below the house, the floorboards to the house. Kind of reminded me of a Telltale Heart, Edgar Allan Poe. So he pulls out an army bag, because remember, he used to serve with Kyle, and a bag of weapons, just like, so I'm looking through the Barney bag, and I see a lot of things. Handguns and missiles and little grenades, and even some old string. Okay, throwback there. But in any case, Max is like, wait, you had this the whole time? Yes. The whole time? Yes. The whole time? Yes. I'm going to go see Lily. Asshole. Yeah, what did he do before he left? He's like, you had these whole time? I'm Bobby. It's like, get your ass out of here. It's my prerogative. Okay, so afterwards, we go over to Priscilla, who gets a call from Diane. Both of them not feeling too good. Obviously, we know the situations that they're going through, but they don't know the other's respective situation. So, Priscilla's actually, not going to work today. So, Diane's going to stop over before she goes to the White House so they can talk face to face, which is something I don't think they did back in earlier this season, right? Because wasn't Diane supposed to stop by Priscilla's, the day after she got fired and everything? So, guys, here's something else look, if you called it, you are absolutely correct. Give yourselves a pat on the back in regards to those 911 calls that Gene allegedly put in for Greg. What was it like? How many was it? Like 17 or 11? I forgot the numbers. I did an entire video on it. Was Greg abusive? So in any case, Jake calls Sam And he asks, hey, did you get the email with the 911 calls from Gene? And then he's like, yeah, let me check it. Wait, there's nothing on here. Jake is like, wait, what? Because I literally just listened to him. Where'd you listen to him? Here in the office. Look, you need to get that thing back and secure it. You know, basically get the server that had the phone calls and the reports and secure it and give it to me because something's wrong. It's like, Sam, what's going on? I don't know. Yeah, well, I'll work on this later. So if you said, yeah, I think those reports and calls were falsified, seems like you're absolutely correct. I stand corrected. All right. So in any case, Priscilla comes in while he's about to get off the phone, and he's like, oh, you won't be late for work? No, I'm not going to work. Did you call in? This played out exactly how the preview. It's just Priscilla and her feelings, and I have nothing to say. She had the knife and all. Get out! Do you want to piss me off with this motherfucking knife in my hand? Just go on. Go on, Samuel. I couldn't. I'm sorry, Priscilla. I love the actress. She's extremely talented, but I do not like Priscilla at all this season. I really don't. I don't. So we go over to Richard and Nancy's house. You know, we got Nancy and Barry sitting at the kitchen table, the dining table. Richard comes in. Hey, I made you breakfast. We're just like, I'll get some when I get to work. So, you know, Barry's like, hey, Dad, Mommy's talking to you. Hey, what's going on? It's like, hey, Barry, what time are you meeting up with the money for Callie? He just kind of brushes off the question. Nancy looks at him too. And then, Mommy, aren't you going to say, just please tell Dad who Picky's father is so we can get back to peace? And then, you know, Richard just walks out and he says, oh, I know who the father is. And then Nancy kind of gives him like the side eye, like, oh shit. But then Richard, you know, Barry's like, again, Mom, just tell him. Then he just leaves for work. So he also tells Richard that it's 9 p.m. and Richard's like, okay, 9. All right. Well, I'll see you before. Basically meaning you ain't going to go get you ain't going to see Ruth and the Raku alone. So when Barry tries to talk to Nancy, she's like, so where's Sharon? Barry doesn't know. And then I looked at some of the posts in the Oval Facebook group, and there are some people split on how this situation was handled. Nancy literally throws 2 different saucers of food at Barry because I get it. I'm an adult, but at the same time, I got parents like this. Well, mainly the dad like this. Where even when you're making a good point and you're not being disrespectful, all of a sudden you're being disrespectful and you get mad. Well, they get mad at you. I could not stand Nancy in this scene. I think this episode went out of its way to make me hate a lot of these characters for the decisions they made, the things that they said, and the way that they acted. I'm sorry if this review was kind of weird in places, but my brain could not it took me 90 minutes to make it through the episode. I watched it at normal speed, mainly because the place that I usually watch my episodes, I don't know why they got rid of the option where I could double the speed, but I literally had to pause it. There were so many, I could think of, there were 5 times in this episode where I had to pause it and just take a few minutes to step away from my desk because I could not fathom what I was seeing. I was like, what the hell's going on? All right, so Barry gets up from the table, walks off. All right. Sick of this shit. Yeah, Nancy, so are we. Just tell Richard who the daddy is. Okay. Then we go over to Asshole to episode number 3. Next morning, Kyle and Dale. He basically makes Dale get up, get out. Because apparently when Kyle went out to kill Laura, which apparently he did, and he's back in his bed. So the ending of the last episode, Laura is dead. Yeah, it feels weird, right? It's like I didn't even really think of it until we were halfway through this scene between Kyle and Dale. It's like, oh wait, he did kill her. Wow. So apparently, you know, he's drinking, getting high, and he's telling Dale to get out. And yeah, when he was gone, because he's like, well, Dale, if you really didn't want to see me again, if you really wanted to leave, then you would have left when I was gone last night. I would have, but you locked me in the room. Oh yeah, that's right. So basically he keeps saying, so are you going to ask how I am? You're an asshole. Wow, really? You're an asshole. And that's basically how this entire scene went. The only interesting part is when Dale got up to leave, he's like, oh, well, have fun at the pharmacy. How did you know that? I'm Secret Service, Dale. We know everything. And I know I'll be seeing you later again. Because even it's like, you got to go to work. What if I just handcuff you over there to the wall, the door? Yeah, I got to go. So, yeah, Dale, man, you should not have interacted with Kyle. You should have just stayed in the back of your trunk sipping on that beer. Or better yet, taking that halfway invitation that Sharon said, hey, if you need a place to stay, why don't you go stay with Kareem? I mean, that would have been a lot better. Maybe you would have been in another room when Sharon and Kareem were getting it on, but you wouldn't be caught up in the shit you are now. All right, so we go over to Bobby knocking on the door to the bedroom where Lily is, and he basically pulls out a device and tosses it on the bed, and apparently it detects if there are any bugs, quote unquote, any recording devices within the house, and tells Lily, hey, you check that once a day. Because Lily's like, well, yeah, Donald made it clear he doesn't want any kind of, technology like that in the house. Basically like, yeah, I'm chief of staff, but I don't want anything like that in my house. Well, Lily, I get where you're coming from. Who did the president say he murdered Donald? I get it. But given the fact that he doesn't really, well, obviously Kyle is the one who doesn't trust Lily as much as Donald. But I feel like after you mysteriously disappear and then come back, it wouldn't surprise me if Donald had bugs or something around the house. So for her to be so naive doesn't make a lot of sense. And I did think it was a funny joke because when he knocked on the door, it was like, oh, you knocked now. Well, yeah, I just didn't want to scare you. Because remember the last time he popped up in that bedroom, that's when Lily shot his ass. Okay, so when he just tries to express, well, yeah, I just wanted to check in with you to make sure you're okay. When he has his back turned, she takes off her dress. And I'm like, damn. Because remember in season 1, there was a long stretch of episodes where Lily was just walking around her lingerie with a robe. This time it's like, oh, damn. Damn. So from there, Lily, I don't know if we should shut up, gets him undressed and throws him in the bed. And I'm like, wow. Okay, well, Bobby, like, why would you even show up if you didn't even want it? Again, characters who are strange acting out of characters. I feel like one thing about this episode is like we spent a bit too much time on the sex faces. Yeah, because don't worry, we'll come back to them. Yeah, that leads to another question, but I'll talk about that later. Look, I'm not even done with my first page of notes, and this damn video is almost 20 minutes long. Okay, so we go over to Victoria and one of the White House, I think like her secretary or whatever, pretty much going over the details of, hey, I think we need to make a social media statement about your mother's passing. How about things about the memorial? And what if you do some kind of, oh yeah, then Victoria's like, I think I need to make some kind of public gesture, not just on social media. How about we go to some sort of school? Oh yeah, Children's Center. How about Harriet Tubman School? No. Why not? I mean, I don't want to be around those black kids. Are you kidding? It's like, you're the first, I mean, well, not first, but you're a black first lady. Don't you think it would be empowering? I don't want to be in that kind of area with bugs and roaches and smoke and dirt with my nice stuff. I don't want to be around no badass kids. Now, I'm kind of iffy on this if, number one, if Victoria really would just say something like this, or number two, if her son being a killer makes her not want to be around any badass kids, like those baby's kids. So I'm really curious, but something tells me Victoria would still act like this because she even brings up, well, yeah, they had Michelle Obama, but she did that, yeah, but she actually liked those kids. Victoria never changed. So she basically like, yeah, go ahead, come up with some BS about my mother, just say I'm grieving in private, and we'll leave it at that. So Hunter shows up right as the assistant, steps away to do her job, and he's relatively nice. It's like, hey, how are you? Hunter? Yeah, I just wanted to remind you about the therapy session we have with Dr. Meadows. You're high right now. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because for like this, if it wasn't for him being high, I would have been like, okay, yeah, everybody in this episode is acting out of character, but he's relatively pleasant, I guess. Maybe because the whole Ellie underwear situation, or he's just kind of, okay, Hunter is a little bit of a background character this episode, so he's not going to be that much of an asshole. But no, he's just high. All right, so then we go over to Diane and Priscilla. She has a early morning wine, and they're going to have coffee. She notices Priscilla ignoring a call from Sam, and here we go with Priscilla's knack for not wanting to talk about it. I mean, that's a major character thing that a lot of fans point out, that Priscilla wants to be quote unquote positive, friendly, slightly intrusive, but also helpful. But at the same time, she refuses to allow any of her dirty laundry to fly out there or hang out there. So she kind of calls Diane about, hey, look, don't be publicist, or no, press secretary, will form a press secretary. Look, Donald wants me to come see her. Donald wants to see her. That's what my notes say. Donald called because he wants Diane to come over. Priscilla's like, hey, be careful. I don't know. Something seems wrong about this. And she hands Priscilla this humongous package. I mean, just a huge, sorry, I got to flip the page. Huge package. And it's like, look, if you don't hear from me by 5 o'clock, give this to Sam. Look, Sam is a good person, good man. He always does what's right. Oh, yeah, he always does what's right there in front of him. We're getting to that. And I'm just like, okay. Because I think Diane, because of when she brings up the first lady and Priscilla's like, yeah, she's a bitch. I think Diane kind of knows that, wait, I get it. You're ignoring Sam's phone calls. I know something's wrong. You're overly angry about the first lady. I see what's going on here. Honestly, I know that she was press secretary, but I was a bit surprised that Priscilla did not once say anything about Jean. Because remember, Jean's quote unquote death, murder, or whatever, that's public news because that was on TV. So I was a little bit surprised, but then again, Priscilla just does not like to talk about what she's going through. So in any case, I'm mad because it's like, okay, here we go again. This whole Jean investigation and whatnot. Priscilla, I know you're mad at Sam, but he's the head of Secret Service. Damn, you would think you would tell him what's going on so you could figure it out together, but no, you're refusing to talk to him. So bet money, something's going to happen. Diane doesn't call Priscilla, and she's going to not give him that information. And I'm like, oh, that's what I think. All right, so we go over to, wait, are they cutting grass? So if you hear any background noise later on in the video, they're cutting grass. All right, so then we go over to Alan and Jason. Jason pops up in the office and it's like, oh, you must have had a bad night. You were ignoring my phone calls. Motherfucker, you trying to get him to kill people? No, he ain't like you. So if you ask me, it almost seems like Jason's knack for what his thing is going to be about for the rest of the season, it isn't so much Jason killing people. It's probably him trying to play puppeteer. Alan, you ought to kill my parents, maybe even Ellie or Priscilla. I saw Sam and Victoria together. So basically, it's like he's going to be playing from behind the scenes while playing with himself and allowing everybody else to fall into chaos. It's almost as if Jason is like the Joker. If you've read The Killing Joke or watched that god-awful animated adaptation, it's like Joker's thing of one bad day. It's like, I want to prove that any person, no matter how good, how, positive, one bad day can send them over the deep end, just like it did with me. So I feel like that's the same thing Jason's trying to initiate here. So Alan keeps asking, Jason, could you please leave? You said you got to go to the O for therapy. Go ahead. I'm just going to get back to work. So, look, I know you're upset. But then Donald comes in. And it's almost as if he kind of, didn't you see Jason kind of put his hand towards his throat? He almost made like a little beheading action with his head, like, I know where the weapons are. So then Donald's like, do you know him? Like, no, he comes by from time to time. Alan, what's wrong? I know something's wrong. No, sir, everything's good. Okay, well, please give me a coffee. Diane's supposed to come in. Can you buzz her in? Yes, sir. So then Kyle goes into Donald, and I did not even notice it until Kyle brought it up, the fact he had makeup on, because the earlier scene when he's in bed with Dale, his face still bruised and banged up from Max, because he tells him about how Max whipped his ass, but he's being smug. Kyle's still smug about the fact that Donald's living with Lily again, and he basically gives him permission to go nuclear due to the fact that legit information about the cover-up has been leaked out, and we got to figure out who did it. Is it Max? Is it Diane? What's going on here? So then, hang on a second. Oh, yeah, he's on the phone with Hunter and basically saying, hey, Diane's coming in. We're going to clean up this mess. But what I need you to do is basically just sit there and say, Diane, I want you to come back. So we go over to the therapy session. I got to admit, this is a bit personal for me. So the president, you can, Hunter, he's still high. You can tell by the look on his face because you know what? Dr. Meadows is trying to greet everybody. Good morning. Okay. So we're here today. Look, we know why we're here. Well, let the woman speak. I'll let her speak as soon as you don't stare at her breast. And basically Jason's like, oh God. So, I will admit, while this scene was a bit heartfelt at one moment, I think the funniest scene because I think what really made this thing. I feel like Jason could have been a really compelling character if the serial killer thing and rapist wasn't a part of it. Because I think Jason's situation is something very common. The fact that he went through a lot growing up where it's like that Wyatt and Amanda on the haves and the have-nots. It's like, yeah, they were handed everything on a silver platter, but the one thing they were lacking was parental love. I mean, you could argue like, you know, Jim Cryer and Amanda. Oh yeah, Amanda was the apple of Jim's eye and everything. But at the same time, Wyatt is like the basket case of I never received love. Love. Yeah, money, position, best schooling. But at the same time, I was raped because my father didn't come to pick me up from camp. So with Jason, he pretty much talks about how when I was 5, you know, it was a whole year where me and my sister, we didn't even see our parents because they were on the campaign trail. Whenever they showed up, it was only whenever we were with them, it was for photo opportunities. And she was like, you need to grow up. She hits me. And Victoria's face while Jason is saying this is priceless. Like, go back to that scene. Jason's talking, but look at the various facial expressions that Victoria is making. But then Victoria gets up because of the fact that she doesn't want to be blamed for anything. And she just gets up and gets out. She doesn't hear help. She doesn't hear pain. She hears that, oh, it's my fault everything went bad. And apparently the therapist knows all about the murder. So she knows everything. Which is something that I was a bit surprised but happy about. That way they're not dancing around the situation. I just feel like it's one of those things where, and if I'm not mistaken, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, you know, hey, there we go. But she leaves and the doctor's like, hey, Jason, you and I will do one-on-one sessions in the office down the hall. And Jason gets up, fine, whatever. And then Hunter, hey, do you mind if you stop by after you're done? That way I can get like a progress report. She's like, okay, sure. And I'm like, what this fool say? Oh, I like to dance around those meadows. Like, Hunter, shut the hell up. Yeah, I can relate to that, basically in the sense of parent not wanting to, and it's not even the fact that you're blaming them, but you're trying to explain, hey, here's how I feel, but all they hear is blame and they don't want to hear it. So yeah, I can relate to that. Thanks, Dad. Anyway, we go over to Donald and Diane. And Diane, you know, she's like, oh, so you're here to offer my job? Am I here for my job back? And yes, you can have it back. But Diane wants to hear from Hunter himself. So they go over to the Oval. And you can just notice, you would think Diane, I don't know, maybe she's figuring, oh yeah, things are so bad. They're begging me to come back. That's why Donald's being overly polite and everything. They go into the Oval. Hunter's like, hey, you know what? I want you to come back. You win. Everything has been falling apart. We need you back right away. So she asked, I need to ask one question. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. But then Hunter's like, no, Donald's trying to interrupt, but Hunter's like, no, we'll tell her everything. So Hunter basically breaks down the entire Denise situation. My son killed her. Yeah, the panties were hers. We need to cover up this murder, assassination attempt. He basically goes through the entire laundry list like, okay, that's everything. And Denise is like, thank you, sir. Basically, you filled in all the blanks for me. Okay, I'm thinking, all right, that's good. Maybe she'll come up with some kind of cover story to secure her job, but at the same time, take all this information she has and leaks it to like Bobby and Max for their investigation. When Hunter's like, okay, that's everything, so what are you going to do about it? I had to go to the FBI. What the fuck, Diane? Okay, so Hunter's like, I'm the president. So basically, you know, correct. This is like the first time I recall Hunter spitting any political facts. I mean, yeah, you know, in the 70s, there was a case and the law put into place while that no serving president, so long as he's in office, can be convicted and thrown in jail. I'm like, wow, we definitely going with the Trump route here. So I'm thinking like until after you're out of office, I see how it is. If so, bravo, Tyler Perry, very well written. So basically, Diane just walks out, is like, oh yeah, I'll show you how powerful you really are. And then she just went ahead and left the Oval, and you know, Donald's like, sir, you just compromised our cleanup. I mean, and then Hunter's like, look, I told you once, I told you 100 effing times, she's your freaking problem. Well, technically, no, you're the one who had her fired in favor of Ellie, and now she tried to blackmail you with DNA by taking your underwear. So this is basically Hunter again being, Hunter hasn't been out of character this episode. Like I said, his cordial demeanor earlier was him just being high. So yeah, he's basically made a huge mess and wants everybody to clean it up. I mean, to be quote unquote fair, and I use the term loosely, this is exactly what happened when he was governor, when he was mayor. He would just do all these dumbass things and have people clean it up. And him being president makes no difference. I mean, hell, he even told Diane, it's like, yeah, once everything's cleaned up, I need a new squeeze. Yeah, okay, whatever. So from there, two things happen. So Donald tells Kyle to take care of it, but then he gets another phone call and he's like, okay, I'll be on my way, I'll be right there right away. And I'm like, I wonder what that phone call was about. So Diane is, walking through the hallway. She's looking over her shoulder. Next thing you know, she kind of makes a little sprint because we see Kyle sneak up behind her. And when she makes it to the elevator, Kyle jumps on there. And as soon as Diane tries to jump off, he grabs her and the door closes. So then we go over to Richard, who's apologizing to Frida. But it's like, look, I just want to have a good time. Look, you're in love with your wife. I ain't trying to be involved in this mess. Sam comes in and then she's like, fine, I'm going to leave. And then Richard's like, well, I'll see you later. No, yeah. I forgot what she said. Leave me alone, Richard. But basically, this dude is just desperate and it's pathetic. So Sam goes just to check in and see, what's going on. And Richard's like, did you know Picky is Nancy's son? No. Well, when we served together, you were at home for 1 month for your father's funeral. And then that 1 month lines up to the 9 months Nancy was... Basically, he's suspecting Sam is the father, Richard. And then two secret agents walk in. It's like, First Lady needs you right away. Well, tell her to wait. Like, look, I don't think she's going to wait a minute. Sorry, Mr. Richard. So, damn it. So, last page of notes here. He rushes in. First Lady, man, what's wrong? And I'm always blamed for everything. See, here's the thing. Even though I think it was messed up how Victoria reacted to Jason expressing himself to the therapist, it's also what we learned about Victoria in season 1. The fact that she was, born out of an affair, a darker complexion than the rest of her siblings, treated like an outcast by her family. So I can understand her. Basically, she's lashing out. When Jason it's almost as if Jason was in a position that Victoria wishes she could have had. The ability to express how she feels and how her parents pretty much shaped who she is, but all she hears is blame. So that is actually good writing. So she hugs him. Oh, just hold me. It's like, I noticed your wife isn't at work today. Well, she's not feeling well, ma'am. You need to learn to lie better. Ma'am? Because remember, what was it? They went on that run last night. Call me Victoria. He's back to ma'am now. So from there, she's trying to come on to him and she opens her dress. What is it with the women this episode just disrobing? And I'm like, God, wow. Victoria's something else. Evil is all hell, but damn. So all I could see, Sam is like, man, he was kind of looking over his shoulder. I'm like, yeah, that's right, Sam. Look at the door and make a sprint for it. Why the hell he started getting closer? I'm like, this ain't Hamilton. This ain't Mariah Reynolds. Oh, I couldn't say no to this, but her body. I'm sorry. Lord, show me how to say no to this. Oh my gosh, she looks so helpless. And her body's saying hell yes. Oh, I couldn't say no to this. That's literally it. I said to myself that this was the last time. Next thing you know, it became a pastime. Yo, for real. I was like, yo, and in the preview, I remember when Victoria was kind of like hunched over on the desk and Sam had his hand on her waist. I'm like, okay, like, I don't know what's going on here. Is he comforting her? Like, man, it's going to be okay. Or is something else going on? Well, now we know because he literally just went, oh, well, no. He actually, like, turned her around. She went, oh, and then this fool just kind of, look. Again, they spent way too much time on the sex faces. It's like, oh, yes. Oh, yes. I could tell I'm turning you on. Oh, man. So then we switch over to Lily and Bobby. I'm thinking, how long has she been on top of Bobby? Because this wasn't even a third of the episode when Bobby brought his ass over there. So, like, how long have they been doing it? Because that's when Donald walks in on him. He pulls out a gun, and that's the episode. Man, I'd have bumped this episode up to like a 6 just because I had more fun reviewing it than watching it, but I'm going to stick with a 3. Lord have mercy. Guys, yeah, this episode, they definitely should have cut it off last week because this week just had way too many characters acting just weird. So, let me know your thoughts. Do you think I was too hard on the episode? Did you at least enjoy my review? Because like I said, I really enjoyed reviewing it more than watching it because this episode was a mess. Next week is the mid-season unless they decide to slap on another 3 episodes, but whatever. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said, like and subscribe, and if you want to donate, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time. What will I miss most about the show? It would have to be the fact that it's the end of an era, almost like that feeling I had when I saw Avengers Endgame. It was everything leading up to this particular moment. And I know I'm going to have that same feeling when we get to episode 8 or the final episode. It's the fact that even though the other shows Tyler Perry has created have been doing well on Viacom, like, Sisters in the Oval, I just feel like I don't know if there will ever be another show he creates that grabs me the way the Haves and the Have-Nots does. It's just the fact that this show has changed my life in more ways than one. And the fact that we had to like stop everything Tuesday night to watch the show, even when I was at college or when I moved out, my mom and I would talk to each other during commercial break. Then on Wednesday, when she would be at work on lunch, I would call her. We would talk about the show nonstop. And I feel like that is going to be the thing I miss the most, not just communicating with my mom, but also other fans about this particular show. So yeah, I mean, it feels weird to grow up with these characters from 2013 to 2021, and I'm curious to see where they're going to be by the end of the season, assuming they aren't dead, but we shall see. We shall see. I'm definitely going to miss this show a lot. I've been watching since the first episode aired way back in May of 2013. I'll never forget that night. I believe at the time I was on my summer break from college, and my mom told me to come to the living room because the new Tyler Perry show was airing on the OWN network. I remember at the time, the OWN network was like a preview channel in my parents' cable package. And I remember OWN was, free for viewing that entire week. So after the first episode aired, my mom during the commercial break, she got on the phone, called the cable network and said, hey, add OWN to my package right now. So after that first episode, we were hooked, and it was just an event every single Tuesday night. We would run to the living room. I would have my laptop or phone getting ready to tweet with other fans. And, my mom, she would be glued to the television, and we would just talk back and forth during the commercial breaks. Like, hey, did you notice that from like episode 3 that they're talking about this in episode 8? So the drawing impact of the show was the fact that it was an event. You could not miss a single episode. So I feel like what really made this show stand out in terms of Tyler Perry's writing talents was the fact that there wasn't a single line of dialogue, there wasn't a single motion or character action that didn't have a greater impact on the story as time went on. Who's the sexiest character? That's another good question. I will say this much. Since I've been watching the show since 2013 when it first came out, and we are, what, 2021 now? I'm almost 30 years old compared to, 2013, obviously. I'm actually afraid. I feel like this show has taught me that I probably have a thing for crazy women. I mean, what's love? Is it really love if she doesn't, set the house on fire with you inside in the middle of the night while you're sleeping? Is it love if she doesn't, set your car on fire? Have somebody she feels that is attracted to you that isn't her murdered? What's a knife to the back between lovers, huh? I would say the sexiest character. It's tough because every character who I feel is attractive, Tyler Perry has had killed off. Maggie Day, Jennifer Salson, Melissa, Erica, my boo Amanda. Sexiest character, I would have to give that title to, before she was Coco on Dear White People, I'd have to give it to Antoinette, aka Melissa, mainly because of the fact that, well, she was a character who I feel like took the reins from where Amanda left off. We saw this character who was in a situation where you could tell I really wanted her and Jeffrey to work out, not necessarily married because he was gay, but well, he's gay and she's, not. But I feel like she loved her father so much that she was willing to marry a gay man if it meant her family would be able to get the proper medical attention to save her father's life, save the family business, the house, and everything. And it's tragic how things turned out for the character. But I feel like there was an innocence to Melissa. I feel like we obviously saw a shift in her character after she was confronted by Candace and Jeffrey at this Sarandon Hotel about being pregnant. And then, of course, after the car accident that she, caused the vehicle to flip over, that's where we saw another level of Melissa's personality. It's almost as if the Melissa of old died in that car where Veronica was supposed to be killed, but she wasn't. And then we got a new Melissa, Melissa 2.0. I mean, I just remember she was giving it to anybody, any man who would walk through the front door. Benny, she was about to give it to Mitch too. And I was thinking, dang, Tyler, give me a cameo. One episode, I'll be a handyman. I'll be somebody delivering mail. Hey, so I have to give it to Melissa, but special shout out to Amanda Cryer, because the moment I saw her during the first episode was the reason I was hooked on the show before I even got into the story. So Melissa takes the title. I get this question a lot on my YouTube channel. Who do I think will make it out alive? Well, there's only 8 episodes left. There are a lot of characters, and I feel like if there was anyone who will make it out alive, it's obviously Hannah Young. I think Hannah's going to make it out alive. I think Jeffrey is going to make it out alive. I think David is going to make it out alive. And really, I'm talking about the main cast. Catherine, I don't think she's getting out of jail. I think she'll eventually go to prison. So she will make it alive, behind bars, that is. But I think that the likes of Veronica, Jim, they might die. But I will say Veronica herself, well, she does have Laura set up as a body double to be killed at some point. That way the Hood or, Akil, the guy hired by Jim to, kill her, will think that she's actually dead. So I think Veronica will die, but she'll probably go undercover, make up a new identity and whatnot, similar to the main villain of A Fall from Grace, where she is went on to another town to start, her schemes again. So I think Veronica will, quote unquote, die, but this woman has more lives than a bag of cats. The Ice Queen will not melt before anyone, even though she loves to play with fire. So I think that Jim, well, there are a lot of characters who, to be honest, I don't think I want to die per se, but they should go to prison for all the crimes they committed. But those are just my, thoughts on everything. So I will say the Malones, I don't know, Benny, it isn't looking good for Benny. Wyatt, he's been knocking on death's door so many times. He probably has a, parking spot there just because of the overdoses and attempts on his life. And Candace, I know a lot of people want her to have a happy ending, but I don't think Candace is going to make it out alive, because if you go back to the funeral home, where she pretty much said, you know, she blamed Hannah for her son's death. And she said that you're going to end up dead in an unmarked grave and I'm going to spit on your tombstone. And that's when Hannah flipped it around saying, everything you just said about me, you just spoke your own fate into existence. All the people you con, they'll be standing over your grave, spitting on you. So I think Candace spoke her own death into existence. Some of these characters have been escaping the Grim Reaper's sights too many times, and it's going to catch up with them. So we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, 8 episodes left. I mean, remember the finale of If Loving You Was Wrong, what, Randall was declared dead. Eddie just went on a killing spree. His daughter, and Esperanza's daughter, died. So I don't know.